end of August 2023 with the Lovelocks of Sunninghill. Rough cut photo trails. And it will be a rough cut. I'll start with the standard introduction for those who haven't seen my videos in recent years. This is where we live, 22 Armitage Court in Sunninghill, with warning signs about fierce card cats. And this location, otherwise known as Robin's Corner, is where GPS was tested from the late 1980s. And down here is a bit of garden sculpture which June got as a birthday present for Robin last year, that was. And down here is one of the guard cats, Toadie. This is our cat. Hello, Toadie. Haven't hurt any visitors, I hope? No, jolly good. The other cat is Bentley from opposite. He appears on all of the photo trails. So, yes, this is June's car. Promotion of the website gpss.co.uk that was a business decades ago. Now it's all about, well, hobbies and charitable causes and other odds and ends. Yeah, bike that I was given from friends, practically working. Here is a little project earlier in the year, which is the place where people like Toadie tend to hang out, along with guard mice, and that light shows that he's inside, and that fort is available for Bentley, the senior officer. Now, what's been going on is a number of things. There's a later photo trail, which in fact was published earlier. Funny things. This one is for the end of August, and now we're several days into September. But this was the camper that was used to take robot boat Snoopy Sloop 11 down to the sea, and it's being repaired. That's one of the activities that's been going on in the background. Yes, I'll show you the battle damage. That was done some time ago. June said Robin did it, Robin said the wall did it, but the wall is okay. Now, the thing I do have to point out are safety things. Health and safety is a legal obligation. So there are warning signs about cameras. They've been here for decades. Just kicked a bottle. They didn't kicked a bottle. Kicked a box of bits which have been ripped out of the boat, and we're just at the stage of putting stuff back into it. Yes, cameras everywhere. But the important sign is this one, and you need to read the small print about water squirters. There, I've done the health and safety. That's for anybody venturing onto the property. And as it happens, we've just got back from a trip. As I say, I'm shooting this introduction into September. That's something which arrived, which is a toy boat that might be used for other things. Here is a new computer from Curry's, which will be used for editing videos, hopefully. I'll get it into the context. June's in the kitchen at the moment, and yes, that's in quite a reasonable state compared with what it was for the last few years. And June has been driving because I haven't yet got my license back from the DVLA. That's covered by a clip. Anyhow, this is the computer that I've been using for years for video editing, really old one. And the reason I'm showing that is it may affect how quickly I can do editing. Into the that's the one I just bought. Closed circuit TV spot. This is known as Robin's naughty corner. So when June's typically watching the television, I'm normally just sort of relaxing here, looking at the closed circuit TVs, either live or more typically what has happened, and wildlife, mostly things like foxes and things. Now, I'm going to now go out ready to go into the photo trail, but I will say that at the end of this photo trail for the last days of August, I'll put a couple of clips which relate, well, one which relates to a few prophetic words from James Lovelock about global warming, and in brief, yes, it's going to happen and you haven't seen anything yet. The other is the amusing story, well, some will find it amusing, of what's been happening with the DVLA. And I've got some recommendations regardless of the outcome of my case. That's enough of me talking, you'll be glad to know. So, into those photo trails. Thursday the 24th of August 2023. Yeah, a complete mixture of things, like work on the robot boat and of course the important pub lunch with grumpy old men, Robin's favourite pub that is, and yeah, glimpses. And Michelle was with us. Of course she's made keen on cats, but she also wanted to have a walk around Anglemere Pond, and it's a little while since we did that. And then we spent some time with the Bansols in the village with their dog Romeo. So we'll probably get, oh yes, at the end of the day, looking at the wildlife on the closed circuit TV. So we're probably into the photo trail now, and yeah, checking emails. Some kit has arrived for the boat. Make sure we've got enough spares. Sometime there'll be time to do it, I don't know when. And made a bit of progress, basically soldering up and the solar panels. Oh yeah, that's looks like being driven by Stuart to the Red Lion at Lightwater. Lovely lunch as always. Nice conversation. Nice is the wrong word really. Yeah, so leave Red Lion, and yeah, that's me checking the tracker. Shows that's the pendant tracker that I'm wearing, and back home. So what's next? That looks as though might have gone round to Stuart's coffee, I don't know. So what's happening there? Yeah, checking trackers and things. Yes, that's where we are, just here. And Tony guarding the property. Looks like we're off June's car, probably to that trip to Anglemere Pond. Oh no, we're popping into Halfords first. Yes, I needed to get some isopon for the work on the boat, and Michelle needed to get some stuff. I think it was cat flea treatment for the cats. Oh yes, phone call with Val. So we know we were going to pop into them later, but then the important thing, which was the walk around Anglemere Pond. Lovely place that has been possible to walk around for years. And I do recall planting a geocache there way back in about 2001. Yeah, so absolutely lovely place. Of course, it's quite a long way to walk around, and I recall that there's one particular spot which you've got a good view over the whole lake, and we'll work our way. That's the spot where you can look out from there. And yes, ducks. So that's the place. If we were not going to do a lot of walking, I would say that's the place to head for. And I think we're walking our way back, and the geocache wasn't far from here, but of course the land would have been worked on, and so I think after we got back I had a look at where the nearest geocache was. So back to the car park. Yeah, promotion of the website. That was a business years ago. Now it's just hobbies and charities, or charitable work. June looking on her tracker, showing the walk. Past a few landmarks on the way back home, with Toadie guarding the premises. Michelle, of course, great fan of the Pussycats. I check my tracker, and that shows the trips out in detail where I walked. That looks as though that was playing up there. I found out in slower time it's all to do with of how you wear it. If the button is, yeah, it doesn't matter. If the button is visible, you'll get good track, because the antenna can see the sky. Out down to the Bansals, and with Romeo. Hello, Romeo. Out in the garden. A lot of work going on there. Oh, the water squirter. Yes. And right, looks like we're leaving there. La Sorrentina. Ah, looks like forced on south to have that. I suspect that might have just been me though. Yeah, it's getting late in the day. Yeah, half moon. And yes, Michelle spending time with the cats. June watching tennis just for a change. Probably playing a video game at the same time. That's what they call multitasking. For some reason I was checking. Oh, not to worry. Right, looks like Robin taking his food into the naughty corner with a closed circuit TV. There's a hedgehog coming for the peanuts. Yep. Camera show that well, and Michelle went out to have a closer look. And so yeah, I'm relaxing in my naughty corner looking at the closed circuit TV, and there's Michelle's cat, Lady, looking down. He came back inside. Oh yeah, where are the geocaches? So go on to the appropriate pages of the website, and there's the Englemere Pond geocache, and where it was, the exact spot. Friday the 25th of August 2023. That was the day we took Michelle back to Coventry, but also had a lovely trip around Stratford and Avon. Yeah, that was the spot tracker, the one that's going in the boat. If anybody was interested, could have gone to the Snoopy page. That's Michelle's place. This is just a summary of what we saw, Stratford and Avon. Yeah, we had a lovely meal in the Italian, and yeah, a few more pictures to give you a flavour. And yeah, back home. So that was a trip as seen on the trackers. And there's the foxes, and Toadie looking out the window at the foxes. And we're probably into the photo trail now, because that shows that June is playing tennis. That's the spot tracker. I've moved it into the car we're going to take Michelle back. Michelle saying bye bye to Bentley opposite, checking the emails of course, and the route up there, yeah, 2 3/4 hours. Thing to remember, that was 2 3 hours to Coventry where we went first, and then we went down to Stratford and Avon, had a look around there, and then back to Coventry. So making sure everything's in the car, including Lady in her carry basket. Yeah, I think we're all ready. June driving of course, even though it's Robin's car, through the village of Sunninghill, past a few landmarks, the spot tracker. Anybody just goes to the Snoopy page and you can see Holyport, going, yeah, landmarks on the way, Holyport village, and across the Thames I guess that is, yes, through the Children's, out the other side, yeah, and that's my personal tracker now. Yeah, that's that page. That could be on foot or wherever. looks like we're using the sat nav and the phone just to make sure there's no problem, and also checks it. So we're very close now. Yeah, past the pub there, and one of the railway bridges. That I like that smile written on the bridge. Very near to Michelle's place. At the place, unload the car. Yes, that's her guitars. They were stolen, but the young lad handed himself in with them. There's Lady. Yeah, she's ready. So there's a bit of artwork from Michelle of herself. So it looks like we're off again, because Michelle wanted to go to Stratford and Avon, and I must admit we like the idea as well. So June's driving again. Oh yes, I didn't mention Samantha's in there, because she hadn't been to Stratford and Avon for a long time. Yeah, so there's the 4 of us. And looks as though we're, yeah, usual thing of signs covered by vegetation. So cheap and easy to snip that. Yeah, lovely sculpture, statues and everything. And yeah, those interested can pause the video and read the text if they want to. Yeah, I wonder who that character is. Yes, of course, it's a lovely bit of river, and the waterways were very important years ago for industry, moving things. And yeah, so we're basically having a lovely walk around, and of course, yes, looking for the place, decide on Zizi, and I try my 1,000 lira Italian note, which was well received as always. So that's where we went, and that's looking on the personal tracker. Anybody interested could say, ah, looks like they've stopped, or Robin at least has stopped in Zizi. Yeah, nice food. Yeah, and yeah, it looks like we followed up with ice cream at the end. Outside Zizi. So I think, yeah, a bit more touring by the river. Some nice places there near the river. I think the rain came on and Robin could see it coming, so he decided, no, I'll get back to the car. Enjoyed watching people coping with it, and then I thought, right, now I could see it's clearing, so I went out and joined them at the butterfly farm. They'd spent some time walking around. I just had a short visit, and they were quite happy to give me an ice cream, even though it was past the official closing. And, well, it was very close to the closing time. Yeah, so I had my cornet, and we set off walking back, because by then no rain, so we can enjoy that. Back to the car, and June used the sat nav on her phone just to make sure there were no mistakes, because we wanted to get smoothly back to Michelle's place. So there we are, practically there, and yes, past that bridge at Michelle's place with Lady the Pussycat, and then the rest of us are back off, leaving Michelle and her pussycat. I like that bit of artwork on the church. Yeah, but some heavy rain showers, which was exactly what we expected. That's where the rain radar was very valuable. Yeah, back through the Chilterns. Yes, so where are we? I decided to stop for petrol. Remember that place on the edge of High Wycombe was always good value, probably because of where it's near. Yeah, just past Half Moon, and coming in through Sunninghill back home. Toady guarding the premises,
peanuts out, ready for the wildlife like foxes and everything. Oh, what am I looking at there? Yes, how to get to see where we've been. Anybody can do that. Just went to the Snoopy page, then clicked on the map, and there's the spot tracker showing you can go back and look at where it's been and the time it was there. And then my pendant tracker that I wear, same sort of thing, although you need to better log into a website to see the history. What it's very good at is anybody can just visit it off the contact page, see the live position. If you leave it on the map, you'll see it update. And there we are at the butterfly farm. That's just showing how you get it. Yeah, that's their place, just here. June watching the tennis. I take my food back into the naughty corner, so I watch the closed circuit TV. There's two foxes arriving for the peanuts at the same time. Yeah, two young ones. And there's the hedgehog. And sometimes you even see a fox sharing the peanuts at the same time. There is Toady having his supper, looking out the window. And that's probably it. Saturday the 26th of August 2023. Bit more work on the robot boat possible, mostly to do with getting those solar panels done. Putting diodes on there, checking a few voltages, whether they're performing as they should. Yeah, soldering and putting resin on. Visit to the bandsaws with dog Romeo. And there's the cat from opposite, Bentley. The video chat in the evening. In fact, we were in the car at the time. And watching the wildlife like hedgehogs on the closed circuit TV. Oh yes, and a trip to the Comrades Club for Robin and a glass of wine. June watching the tennis. So, into the photo trail. Yeah, some email stuff with Peter about a trip to Twyford down south near Winchester. And yeah, there's the work in a bit more detail now. Finding meters that work and checking the open circuit voltage of the solar panels. These are replacing the old ones. Getting out the soldering iron, putting on the blocking diodes, duplicated, again all to do with reliability. Yes, made in China, of course. And yeah, I've got some cable, proper tinned cable, which again is all to do with protecting from elements. You seal things, double seal them. Yeah, put stuff in the right place. June's quite particular about that. Can be confusing. Yes, another solution for stripping the wire is teeth rather than the proper tools. And yeah, so all a question of having the right tools for the job. That's true in life, on a lot of things. And of course, where do you keep the tools to find them? Right, so now soldering in the wire that runs from the solar panels along the deck to the box of electronics and batteries. So again, checking voltages. Yeah, it looks as though stupid Robin did something right. Probably didn't solder something properly. And of course, this is a difference with working in engineering. You normally have people monitoring what's being done and checking work after it's been done. Right, looks like June's just got back with shopping, so I saw her arriving, so I was able to, oh yeah, heavy work that was. Then back more to the robot boat work, more soldering, checking voltages, and sorry, June's probably having lunch there. Oh yes, that's the stuff I got the day before from Halfords, which is the resin, fast glass resin used to coat the back of the solar panels after the soldering, so that it is completely waterproof. Oh yes, it does smell a bit. I have to have the doors open and I put it near the window. I get into trouble with things like that. And well, down to the bandsaws. See dog Romeo and sit out and relax in their garden. Load of work going on. There's Raj, there's Val going over something with June. Yes, basically enjoying ourselves. So, oh, June's messing around with a ball. Hello, Romeo. Lovely dog. The only trouble is he's very strong and boisterous, and he tends to like licking you. Yeah, that's the main trouble. Oh, goodness me. Right, looks like we're on our way back home. And yeah, and there's Bentley, the cat from opposite, guarding the premises. He's the senior officer, been training Toadie for some time. Not sure he's officer or man. Ultra durable varnish. Yeah, got that stuff. And yeah, tools for the job. I think I'm probably cleaning the boat, ready for coating. Trip to Wicks for something. Wonder what we're going there for. Oh yes, and then the video chat starts. Yeah, family video chat, where we would have normally been at home, but essentially that continued. Hope it was according to safety. Right, back home. Toadie guarding the premises. Put the peanuts out in the usual places like the top bridge, the bottom bridge. Yes, past the PIR operated solar lights. And yeah, I had a reason to sort of visiting the shed for that was the International Perfection paint, which is used for, the name of the game has been doing things in the right order and gradually making progress on the boat when there's been the chance. And of course all on my own. Right, video chat. Looks like eating in my naughty corner while I look at the closed circuit TV, and there's a fox arriving for the peanuts, and there he is on the top bridge in the back garden, and there's the hedgehog up the porch, all after the peanuts, and June watching tennis. A bit more looking at the boat. Oh yes, the paint that I put on takes a while to dry. I got some on my finger. In fact, later we found out that Toadie got some on his tail. Down to the Comrades Club, forced myself to have a glass of wine, and of course interesting conversations. And back home, yeah, the light says that Toadie's in his fort at the front. The boat is gradually beginning to look a little better. The main thing is it's functionally good. That's it. Sunday the 27th of August 2023. Some more work on the boat. It meant popping into Halfords from bits and pieces, and Chip used the trips to check out the trackers, and we swung into the Royal Egham show, and they had a section there with boats. It was very much a last minute visit, and then back to do work on the boat. Oh, and June watched that film King Richard. Right, so ended the day with a trip to this Comrades Club and a glass of wine. Oh dear, what's Toadie has got white paint. That's International Perfection paint off the boat that was still wet. Got some of that on his tail. So the boat is coming along, so that is that background activity. Yeah, checking out the solar panels, making sure everything is double checked if I can. Yeah, getting people names to faces for the wedding in the slower time. That'll end up with a video and perhaps a page with a few pictures on it. Well, that was very useful information to find out some of the details of where things went on the boat. And we're now at the stage of gluing the solar panels in place with Wicks bathroom silicone sealant. So got to run the cables in the right place. Yeah, fingers crossed on a lot of things. And as always, some of the old blogs and pictures were quite valuable. Yeah, and that's the routing of the cables into the box before the cables are covered. And Eva stick, yes. New bolts, which are where the power for a left hand, a right hand and combined. And looks like a trip there. Testing the spot tracker. That's the old dead one, and the new one is being carried around in the car, testing it until eventually it'll be popped into the boat. So here's a trip out past the week to home base. I think that was at Staines, to pick up some connectors to do with the electrical wiring, and then swung into the Royal Egham show, which was near Holloway College, I seem to remember. We went into the field and we were just arriving when they were closing down, but we were still able to go in and have a look round. And yeah, there was some falconry going on, archery. Of course, a lot of the stuff was closing down as we got there. There's some lovely artwork there. That's wooden sculpture. But the key thing is there was a boat section, and at least I got a chance to see some of the boats on display and have a word with some of the guys there. Of course, it would have been nice to get there earlier, but there's never enough hours, and it was good to at least get a glimpse of it. So it looks like we're on our way back now, back into Sunninghill. Yeah, some landmarks. And yeah, back home. Yes, Bentley from opposite, sunbathing, and get out the electrical bits and pieces and leave them near where they'll be used. Yes, bang on 6 o'clock, probably listening to the news. Check out the spot tracker was working okay. That's how anybody could get to it if they were interested in what we're doing. And then the other tracker was my pendant tracker, that people can just click on that. And that's the route, which is both driving and on foot, walking around the field at the Egham show and back home. Just here. And yep, that's the new brass bolts I've put in, which will be main terminals. And of course it's a case of having holes in the right place for cables to go into the box, and of course a whole lot will be sealed very thoroughly. Right, looks like probably an evening meal, and so I'll take my food out from the kitchen where they're eating and into the naughty corner in the lounge, so I can look at other things like the closed circuit TV while I'm eating the food. Oh yes, there's Toadie sat on Samantha's car. Then June comes out after a meal and decides to watch the film King Richard. Well, I saw some dramatic other things, like hedgehog arriving for peanuts, and now the fox, and yes, a fox on the back bridge, rather the top bridge in the back garden. And Tony comes in, decides to go to sleep and relax with June watching the television. There, he's got paint on him. That is the paint that was drying, the International Perfection 2-part paint for the robot boat. And yeah, that film turned out to be about the Williams sisters, the tennis players. Anyhow, into the Comrades Club, force myself to have a glass of wine, see a bit of the television. Oh, I even bought a raffle ticket. Yes, and so that was quite a nice event. So now walking back home, and what we got here? Yes, there's the boat. June watching the film, I suppose. That's the track on my personal tracker that anybody could have seen back home. And that's it. Monday the 28th of August 2023, and yes, popping into Halfords for a few bits and pieces for the boat, which are mostly related to connections, and pop past the Phoenix Boat Club, and yes, Wisley. Enjoyed a visit to Wisley Horticultural Society. Yes, and met some interesting guys. There's one of them in particular. And checked out the trackers, including walking around Wisley, and of course seeing the foxes, and finishing at the Comrades Club. So let's go into the photo trail. Yeah, that's what I need for doing the wiring on the boat, doing it as professionally as I can. So we decided, yeah, we'll go out to Halfords at Byfleet, because that's on the way to Wisley as an interesting place. So yeah, there was Toady coming out of his fort and prowling around as always, beware of visitors, and of course aided and abetted by his senior partner, which is Bentley from opposite. And on our way through the village, past the Comrades Club, still got the scaffolding up from doing a bit of work on the roof, past various places, past the Morris School, where General Eisenhower had his bunker during the last war, and into Halfords, and looking for about the right size connectors to go onto that size bolt. And then on to the Egham Royal Show. But first of all, popping into Silvermere, where the model boat Phoenix, I think Phoenix Marine Model Boat Club, that's where the late Eric used to sail his boat, including his camera boat. And yeah, lovely area. And then coming into RHS at Wisley, June's been a member or family for a long time, and so lovely walk around the garden, of course photographing the flowers and butterflies and the heron. June took some pictures with her smartphone as well, and we made our way to the cafe near the glass house. That was a lovely place to stop, have ice creams. Yeah, and a lovely bit of sculpture, that dancing hares. I suppose they'd be March hares. Yeah, dancing hares. And duck, that's a real duck, I think. And I remember there was a model boat meeting once at the lake by the side of the glass house. So again, going around, seeing one can recognise plants. And yeah, what have we got there? Oh, it's an absolutely lovely place, of course. Wisteria Walk, that's called. Apples for scrumping. Yes, there's some large pumpkins there. No, I was only pretending to sit on it. Yes, a different area. Looks like new buildings have been put up. Probably lecture theatres, possibly even student accommodation. I don't know, but they'd made that area we had visited before, but it's completely different now. It's all been landscaped with the lake. Lovely bit of sculpture there. Yes, I think one of their garden photo pages, you actually see pictures of it as a model of, I don't need to witter on, lovely plants. Not quite sure what that is. Roses, I think they are. Not sure what that is. June knows. Oh, that's a nice bit of sculpture. Yes. Ah, hello, sir. And yeah, it looks as though we're getting ready to leave. On our way back, past a few landmarks like pubs and things, and into Sunninghill, or through Sunninghill back home. Yeah, that's coming into fire. I'm not sure, I didn't get a chance to see. And got the various bits, put them in the right place, ready for work on the boat. Looked on the tracker, that's the Spot Satcoms tracker, the one that will be going in the boat, and shows the visit to various places. And back home. And then the other tracker, my pendant tracker, anybody can see that by visiting the contact page, and there's the only detail is it includes walking around places, not just where the car is parked. And now back here. There's a phone call there, and Cricketer's Beefeater, not sure what that is about. And might have been, oh yes, visits from the foxes. Must be getting late in the evening now. Yeah, after the peanuts. And what we have here at the back. Oh, a view of the fox on the back bridge, and it was in daylight as well. Right, out. So I must be on my way down to the Comrades Club at that time. Yes, into the Comrades Club, have a glass of wine and a chat before making my way back home. And June watching tennis now, I think, instead of that film. And that's the end. Tuesday, the 29th of August 2023. Number of things here, emails related to the wedding, checking of the tracker with June's playing tennis, of course, and an interesting letter, if you call it a letter, received from the TVLA. May get a little bit more here, but we'll see. I'll say a bit more on the photo trail. So yeah, managed to get a bit more work done on the robot boat, and I actually brought it into the lounge without June knowing, but I was doing some soldering work, and it was easier to do it in the lounge with a soldering iron. No, you've got to take it out, she says. That was okay because I'd done the work. But out there, and then it was a trip out to home base. Get some outdoor varnish, yes, for the boat. And yep, peanuts to be put out. And June watching tennis. I'm looking at the closed circuit TV, and what should I see? The hedgehog coming for the peanuts, and then down to the Comrades Club for a glass of wine. Somebody has to do it. And back home. And yeah, there's the identifying who was at the wedding, and yeah, there's where June parked the car, the spot tracker, and there's what we received. In a nutshell, they'd returned the cheque that we'd sent for £30 for the replacement licence, filled in all the. There was some confusion there, with very little other than a compliment slip. Anyhow, on with the other work, and it's all to do with the wiring, yes, with good old-fashioned solder, and I think looks a bit of a tour there. Oh yes, that's it. Yes, I'd been doing the work while June was playing tennis, soldering of course, and then she came back and saw what I was up to, but of course I'd done it by then. Looks like I thought the soldering arm was broken, I'd have to get a new one, but actually eventually we found no, that was all right, just needed pushing into the handle. So right, and there's a phone call there by the look of that. And what are we doing here? Yeah, it's all the wiring into the box so that the solar panels are wired properly to terminal points inside the box, and of course those terminal points can be monitored from the outside. And Not sure what those pictures are for, but probably we might be taking a trip down there. Oh yes, planning a day out maybe, and yeah, to make sure it didn't clash with Saska's birthday. Diodes, more stuff coming through the post. Make sure I've got plenty of components and spares, so other people can make the same things as myself, and I don't have to worry about chasing around finding them if I make extra computers or whatever it is to go in the robot boat. That all seems okay, so that can be put outside, and you can check the voltages coming from the solar panels and to the batteries there. And that's the material I use for sealing things, so those cables will be covered with silicon sealant. I think you can see now just white silicon sealant, so they're all securely down, and giving things a bit of a clean, checking voltages, basically that everything works, like the solar panel voltages come in correctly, because you know there's no batteries in there. This is just the stuff coming from the solar panels into the box. Yeah, that was one of the guys. I did a Google, and then I think it was a different guy came up, and yeah, the pond was very low, and that's the case of a job that just hadn't been done properly, or done at all. The batteries, so we're at the stage of checking the design information, and we're at the stage of putting in new batteries of the same type, nickel metal hydride, good old traditional stuff. We would use modern technology if it was thoroughly tested, but that's been shown to work reliably for years and years. When we've had failures at the boat, they've almost all been mechanical. By mechanical you mean something falling off and allowing water to get in. Right, so other odds and ends, the crocodile clips make it much easier to clip onto something and test the voltage. Now another trip to Wicks and Homebase, Bronzil outdoor varnish and some brushes, so that'll be for varnishing over probably the writing on the side of the boat. And looks like a spot of rain there, and that light means Toadie's in his cat fort, so put that in the work area, and put the peanuts down, and looks like I might be topping up the pond there. Yeah, that's how it's switched on and off. And yeah, early in the year I was trying to do a simple fix for the pond and never succeeded in doing that, and I didn't want to drain the whole pond, that would be too disruptive. Right, so peanuts down, glimpse around the garden, peanuts out the front porch, monitored by cameras, check out the journey we did. Looks like that's dinner in the evening. Yes, in the kitchen. Women are watching the tennis. I take my food into the naughty corner, and June watches tennis in the lounge, and Samantha too, and I look at the closed circuit TV. And yeah, there's a fox on the top bridge out the back coming for the peanuts and being watched by Toadie a few yards away, and there's a hedgehog come to the front porch for the peanuts, and Toadie's watching that from the doormat. And what's the time? 25 to 10. Rain coming in, but it looks as though I can afford to take a walk down the village without getting soaking wet. So I go out past the boat, and I'm on my way down to the Comrades Club. Into the Comrades Club, force myself to have a glass of wine. Yeah, watch whatever's on the telly and chat with one or two of the guys. Make my way back. And yeah, there's a boat gradually beginning to look a little better. I haven't touched the sails, so probably won't be for a little while. There's my tracker, so we'll see if that worked okay. Yeah, said I was in the... that's basically it. There. And we're getting near the end of the trail, I think. Wednesday the 30th of August 2023. Yes, more work on the robot boat and quite a step forward. Finding the right product for the replacement of the navigation light. Of course, also updating the COVID page, and tennis, of course, and pussycats. That was quite a step forward, finding that product. Best one I've found, I think, all the time we've been on the robot boat. And yeah, that looks like Michelle having a video chat with Toadie pussycat, and the fox is coming for the peanuts, and a little Robin on the closed circuit TV. June watching the tennis. Robin goes down to the Comrades Club. Oh yes, looks like a phone call. Yes. Oh, and Catherine. Force myself to have a glass of wine. Come back, and yeah, the cat enjoying himself. So now into the photo trail, I think. Yes, made quite a lot of progress. So we got the batteries in there, checking the voltages, of course. So the solar panels now charge the batteries. Obviously, it depends on how much light they get. And yeah, the COVID graphs, basically pop that into the COVID page, which I've been doing for years. And yeah, checking that the tracker's working. Yeah, it's the women back from tennis, and they're saying yes, hello. Toadie's taking it easy on Samantha's car. And that's the old navigation light, and rather than rebuild it, which included the electronics, it would be ideal to find the right product. And in fact we did find the right product, cleaning the area where the light's going to go, and using the International Perfection paint, looking at the documentation to find out as much as possible. There is the point that it's not a legal requirement to have a navigation light on a boat as small as that. That was checked years ago, but it's, from a practical point of view, it's very useful if it washes up on a beach, you know, where the tracker may not be working. It makes that much easier to find. And also one can this is a letter that arrived from the DVLA, and it wasn't much more than a compliment slip and the return of the cheque. And we said, oh crikey, I mean, it was only £30. Does that mean that I won't be getting my licence coming through the post? And that, there's something about the DVLA, some suggestions regardless of the outcome of my case at the end. But yes, here's the pussycats. That's the tracker, which is going into the robot boat, and we pop that in the front of whatever car's being used to check it out. And Brant's Bridge, so where are we to now? The garden light shop. We thought that might be worth checking, but in fact it didn't have the same sort of garden lights that I was looking for. So we thought, let's try Homebase. Looked at what they had there. Then we tried Oak Tree, and Oak Tree did have the Triton stake light. First time I've come across them, and well, basically fantastic product. You can guess it might have been suitable because it had a decent size solar panel on the top. And in fact we bought several then, and I bought some more later. Right, back into Sunninghill, past the Comrades Club on our way home, back home. June had bought a ladder. Right, that's where this light is going to go. and that's the tracker. Probably I'm checking. Yes, that's where we went. Anybody could have seen that just by following the link on the Snoopy page to the Snoopy Spot T tracker. So there we are, visiting the various places where we parked, and back home, just here. Now that Triton stake light, Bentley making a nuisance of himself, and what we got on the closed circuit TV. Ah, yes. No, that was something else. June decided to give the camper a clean. Water everywhere. And yeah, see, it was only £19 there. And it won't be going on the pole. Basically going to mount it flush to the deck, but we need something to secure it. So the answer was to drill a hole into the foam, basically, and then use a bit of the tube, just marking out how much, so that will locate it. So it won't just rely on things like the silicon sealant to glue it. It'll actually be secured. There's the bit of tube, and in fact use resin as well. So the answer is build it good and solid. Right, so that's where it's going to go. Oh yeah, I've got a reason for it. Oh yes, June's talking about having a camper trip, and so I thought I'd better touch up the battle damage message. It causes a lot of amusement to people in queues. Right, now I checked out whether we can get some more of these, where to buy them. And yeah, lots of places that do garden lights, but not so many that do that particular product. Yeah, so looks like I've ordered some more there. And there's Toadie guarding the doorstep, checking voltages and things. Toadie having a supper by the look of it. June's rustled up some food. I take my food from the kitchen where they're eating into my naughty corner so I can watch the closed circuit TV and see, for example, the garden light coming on. Well, the navigation light, if you call it that. Looks like Michelle's probably having a chat with June, video chat, and looking at the cats. And yeah, that's what she's up to. Michelle is very interested in what the cats are up to. Yeah, there's Michelle. I might as well mention, even it's off subject, that one use of the garden light, if you can see it from a distance, you can triangulate on it. So if it's right out several miles offshore and you can see it, you can say what direction is it from here, and then perhaps a mile down the road, what direction from here, and triangulate and get quite a reasonable position on it. Right, looks like I'm looking at the closed TV, making any notes on visitors such as the fox cub having the peanuts, hedgehog, sometimes you see them both having it at the same time, and the fox on the back garden top bridge and on the porch, hedgehog as well, and the navigation light coming on as it gets darker. And there's one in the garden as well. There's a robin. Hello, robin. And yeah, June is watching that. I decided to go down to the Comrades Club, I should think. Yeah, along the way out, check that those lights are working well. Yeah, there's one on the front lawn. All the same product, just confirm that they do continue to work. Yeah, that's checking out the battery pack to charge my camera, I think. So on my way down to the village, into the Comrades Club, forced myself to have a glass of wine. There was football on that day. Phone call. Oh yes, old friend Catherine Singh used to work at ESAMS many years ago. Yeah, full moon, and I'm back home. There's the navigation lights, or rather garden lights, working well. I've got them in the garden as well now. Yeah, glimpse of the boat. June watching tennis. Me looking on the track of where went, and looks as though that's where we're considering going. Oh, we're talking about going for a trip with the Mansells, and there's Toady making a nuisance of himself. Thursday the 31st of August 2023. Lots of things happened that day. Looking at the rain forecast, spent some time with the Mansells, having a bit of fun, and lots of things. Yeah, sorting out what's happening about the wedding photographs, timescale of doing that. Letter from the DVLA. June decided to follow up with a phone call, and yeah, cats of course, including Bentley checking out a box that sits in, and yeah, look as though I'm getting myself prepared for a camper trip and work on the robot boat, and end the day down at the Sunninghill Comrades Club for a glass of wine. So, what's that about? I don't know, probably remembering something. There's Samantha working from home, June looking at stuff. Looks like rain might be coming on. Looked at the rain radar on the Met Office site, so that doesn't get us by surprise. We were looking at places we might have gone with young, come on, spot tracker, making sure that's okay. Change the batteries in that and check the voltages. That goes in the car. It'll eventually be going into the boat. And yeah, a bit more work on putting the navigation light into the robot boat. Looking at the options of places that Damon might be interested in, like go-karting. Yeah, pop in there, and lots of things. And what are we doing? Yes, Toadie's asleep in the fort, and we're checking out my old phone in order to, I've got a phone. Yeah, sorting out about wedding photographs, all question of what order we get things done. Yes, we've got some nice photographs that Alan took, so in due course they'll be on USB stick, and I'll produce some sort of video and web page with them on. Right, now into the nitty gritty of using resin to make sure that lamp is really securely fixed at the front of the boat. And June decided to ring up the DVLA and find out what on earth was that about. And yeah, it looks like I probably saved the recording. So what I will say while this other thing is there is the lovely lady at the DVLA, as much as she could say is, yeah, that was normal procedure. It wasn't necessary for us to pay the £30, so it was sent back. So the cheque was sent back. That was important to know. Didn't say anything on the what little paperwork there was. It wasn't much more than a compliment slip. So there's a possibility my licence might come through the post to me. Meanwhile, this is much more important, which is Michelle being able to interact with the Pussycats via WhatsApp video. And of course, yeah, the navigation light has been resined securely in place, and now that area is painted with International Perfection 2-part yacht paint, and that is coupling together my phone, which doesn't work very well on the Doro. A lot of these phones have been used for so many years, little bits and pieces of phone, and that's the computer to go into the robot boat. Lots of activities going on in parallel, and getting the rudder linkage the right way round. Servo starting to go in place. That's what that's about. So that if the servo's the right way round, we don't need a servo reverser, which is yet another bit of electronics to fail. The nitty-gritty of this, of course, is tucked away on various blog pages, but quite often the remains of a boat is much easier as a reference rather than trying to search for information which may never have been recorded. That's the servo reverser. I've got spares of those in case they're needed, but it looks as though if I put the rudder linkage the correct way round, it won't be needed. Of course, you're consulting various pages, the main power system, to get things right, hopefully. And of course the real test is not just making sure it looks right on the plans, but is to test it. Yeah, more bits and pieces. The switches, those are, by the look of it. Yeah, switches at the back. So those replacement switches are there with waterproof connectors, but it's all a matter of belts and braces. It's not just relying on that. I've got old plastic bottle tops, and for a bit of amusement, the caps look like eyes, but for years I've used those. So even if the switch wasn't a waterproof switch, it probably stopped the water from getting to the switch, realising it could be immersed quite a few feet in seawater with wave tumbling over it. This is right, getting the SIM card out of my old Doro phone. That I've been on that O2 contract for many decades. I think it's probably the same SIM card as the one I had in the 80s. I don't know, I've probably had a dozen different phones, starting by big clunky ones. Right, checking out the Galaxy A5, which was what I bought from Tesco at £60, I don't know, best part of 10 years ago, and it worked really well as a smartphone. It's just I don't normally use it as a matter of policy. Right, June's watching something on the TV. Looks as though she might be playing a video game at the same time. And I'm checking the closed circuit TV. Yes, the garden lights or navigation lights come on, and there's the hedgehog, and there's the fox cub, quite a little one, isn't he? And on the back here, back garden as well. And so June's watching the tennis. Looks as though I've decided to go out of the house and down to the Comrades Club. On the way down, I see that the navigation lights, or shall we say the lights working. Have my glass of wine, look on the smartphone, and yes, I'm shown close enough to the Comrades Club, and walk back. Yeah, the lights come on nicely in the garden. Same product exactly as the one that's on the boat. Yes, Snoopy Toadie is asleep in his fort, and not sure what I forgot there, but must be near the end of the trail.
I did warn you that those photo trails would be long. Now we're going into, yes, past my website up on the screen. One line of text if the screen resolution is 1280 or more, and we're now going into that material that was shot about James Lovelock and the DVLA a few months ago, and I think it starts from about here. Now what I put on the screen, because global warming is rearing itself, it's something that's been on my grumpy page for years. The remarkable James Lovelock, who passed away on the 26th of July, his 103rd birthday. I'll read out what this says here. This has been on the grumpy page for years, not long after the publication of his book, Revenge of Gaia. We can't stop global warming, but we may delay it by a few decades. to give us time to prepare for its effects. Vast areas of the world, including as close as continental Europe, becoming arid desert. Shrinking of habitable areas of the planet to much smaller parts of the planet, closer to the poles. The Earth will then only be able to support a small fraction of its present population, and there will be a need for massive migration. Places like the UK will remain temperate a little longer, so be an attractive destination. We need all world governments to cooperate to prepare for this inevitability. Also to agree things like reduce use of fossil fuels to give us a few more decades to prepare. And then it goes on. The above is not a quote, but how I remember what James Lovelocks said in his book, The Revenge of Gaia, etc. That's been unchanged on my site for years. And right, well, the other thing I should mention, yes, retired, happy and spending their kids' inheritance, is for some time now I've not been able to drive due to, well, several mistakes at the DVLA. And what I will say is that I have new evidence of what happened inside the DVLA, which I won't publish yet because I'm still waiting for the reply to the letter which was delivered by recorded delivery to the head of the DVLA and also other people. So I'll put in at the end of this long video the video that's gone up, me talking about the DVLA, and basically in summary it says I don't want anybody to get into trouble, and that is definitely the case, and resigning is too easy. Problems need to be fixed. But quite honestly, that is a minor thing compared with all the other things that are going on in the world, not least wars, and of course what's in the background and very important is global warming. So let's run into that. Back in 2012.
Seen the launch of a transatlantic sailing attempt this morning in a model boat. Retired NATO scientist Robin Lovelock launched his Snoop Loop from Barton-on-Sea towards the Bahamas. It's already been tested over 5,000 miles on a lake in Berkshire. The model will be steered and tracked through a satellite system and by Snoopy, of course, and it should make the crossing in 6 months, if it survives, that is.
The most important thing of the lot, of course, is Snoopy the Viking, the skipper. I don't think he'd make it otherwise. We've also got another bit and piece here. This is a GPS logger that logs the position every 15 minutes. That was back in 2012. The guy that put this material together, including the live broadcast and what went up on the BBC website, is Ben Moore.
I just worry for Snoopy. Sport now and Hampshire.
Right, on to the next topic. Right. Now, I'm going to do this all in one take. All unrehearsed and unscripted, so sorry about that. What I'd like to happen, if anybody picks up on the DVLA story, is, as I say, nobody getting into trouble, and that's a genuine request. But when they find flaws in procedures where they don't cover certain things, be good if those are fixed. What I think would be useful for anybody looking at the DVLA and perhaps helping them is, first of all, their organisation chart showing the structure. Yes, it's well known who the head of the DVLA, remarkable woman, looking at her CV, and relevant to this story is the head of the health part. But it would be very useful to see, even if names aren't attached, obviously the names can be attached where they're public already, is how many people in each branch, how many people are reporting to how many. So a simple tree would help. I suggest that first of all. Then, perhaps even more important, is how many people working for the DVLA, even if you don't identify the individuals, are salaried by the DVLA excuse me, directly, as opposed to contracted through an agency or a business. That is very important, and we've seen what's been happening in places like the NHS for years. So that comes into the equation in terms of whether money is well spent, and of course the DVLA collects a lot of money, and there are probably other things as well. But as a starting point, I'd hope anybody that responds to this, I can't afford to get overloaded, we've got other things to do, many other things to do, and we'll be taking a holiday, that'll be public, yes. I'm tracked everywhere by different things, and in fact, if anybody's paranoid about it, anybody who's tracking somebody or looking at somebody's probably seen already. But at the end of the day, there's me wittering on, which is one of my main weaknesses since I was a little child. That's why if you put things up, clearly be careful what you put up, and often it can do some good. I'm now in the kitchen, and June's rustling up some food in the microwave for Samantha. The microwave was invented by James Lovelock, if you didn't know. And here's Samantha, and of course there's tennis on the television, just for a change. So, oh yes, point out, holidays in we're going off to Sicily again soon, and into the hall. Yes, nice expensive paintings here. Yep, expensive little pocket camera, not expensive, and through into the lounge and out to wrap up this video by saying, look after yourselves, stay safe, and enjoy what days we have.